Hey guys, so today I want to share something with you I've never really talked about. It was the ultimate low point in my life when I hit absolute rock bottom, and I've never shared this with anyone really. So if you don't know me and know my story, 3 years ago I basically, long story short, had a bacterial blood infection. They missed it at accident emergency twice. I passed out, had to be rushed into emergency surgery, had the surgery, so an abscess had got into the spinal cord. They had to cut all the way up my spine, removing the abscess, the infection, and doing so, they damaged the spinal cord. So I was left with permanent nerve damage. If that wasn't bad enough, they didn't catch the infection on the first operation. I had to go back into surgery. And then they went all the way up to the neck just before it reached my brain and died. So I was about, 2 inches from they say about an hour or two away from death. Died twice on the operating table. Anyway, long story short, I woke up. I was told I was going to be paralyzed from this level down where they did the damage on the spinal cord. So it was a lot to take, and I was in ICU, the intensive care, for 2 weeks. High dependency unit, 2 weeks, and this whole time I was paralyzed from here down. So, and I talk about this low point because people always ask me what the hardest part of it all was, and I always just say, I always I was always positive, and I always thought of this, and it's taken me really 3 years to get around to speaking about this and telling you, because people can relate to it so much, and everyone gets that point at a certain aspect of their life. They can relate to this story, and I hope it helps a few people overcome the position you're at. So after the high dependency, when my life wasn't threatened, I had to be transferred to a spinal unit where they deal with paralyzed patients. So I arrived at this spinal unit expecting miracles. I started gaining some movement in my hands and arms, so I knew I wasn't, the diagnosis wasn't as bad as first thought, but I was still, I couldn't move my legs. They were completely gone. So after about 2-3 weeks of being into, I was in hospital 6 months. So after about 2 or 3 weeks of being into the spinal unit, when your life when you're out of the danger, you're off all the ventilators. I was still on drips, antibiotics 4 times a day. But when your life's out of danger, and you realize, wait a minute, 4 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I was walking around a normal life. I was fit, healthy, I ate great, I had no symptoms of nothing, and within 4 weeks your life's changed like that. You're going to be told you're never going to walk again, and it's hard to deal with. And it's like, do you ask why me? Turns out this is like a 1 in a million, 10 million rare kind of infection thing that happens to you. It wasn't caused by anything in particular, and you start wondering, why me? What am I going to do? And you get into this, and I suffered massively from depression through this. So I was in the spinal unit. You have to be transferred into a wheelchair by nurses, taken to the toilet by nurses, showered by the nurses. Everything you can imagine. You're paralyzed. You can't do anything for yourself. So, as I say, it's not as if you've generally adapted this over time. It's just been thrown on you. So I talk about this low point in my life, and it got to a point where I didn't want to be around anyone, with anyone, and this is common in depression. You want to be like curled up in a ball in bed, and when you've got to face things, you just want to go to sleep. It's like in the gym. If you want to lose weight, you've got to eat in the gym, go to the gym and eat well, you end up just lying on the sofa and eating bad, the exact opposite of what you need to do. And this is what I say to people. So I was just wanting to go to sleep. I didn't want to go to the rehab every day. When I was able to transfer myself into my wheelchair from my bed, because you can swing your legs over, you get a transfer board, and I wanted to do that straight away. I did that. I accomplished it quite fast. Then I just got on my wheelchair and I wheeled myself out the spinal unit to like the car park. I just used to sit there for hours because I didn't want to be around anyone. I didn't want to deal with the questions, people asking, "How are you? What, you know, are you all right?" I didn't even want to see my parents at some points. They used to come every day, and there was nothing new ever happened. What new happened in hospital today? Nothing. Is there any movement change? No. It was kind of a reminder of nothing's really happening, and there's nothing happening in their life. So you know, it was like, it was just compressing the agony of it all, and I was really suffering from, where do I go from here? You know, how you're not prepared for this. You don't know what to do. What is the way out? Is there a way out? And I suffered for this for a long time, and it wasn't until in the spinal unit, I remember, so they used to try and get people to play games to kind of keep morale up and stuff like that. So there was this table tennis game we played, and it was table tennis table. I was here in my wheelchair, someone on the other side in a wheelchair. By this time I'd moved my arms, but this right side still to this day is very damaged. You know, the motor unit's not the same. The left's fine. So I couldn't play table tennis with my right hand. I had to play with my left, and we're playing with this guy, and you're playing table tennis in a wheelchair. It's difficult. You can't move. You know, you're hitting it. It's going to the side. You can't even reach it. And I just thought, this is really shit. And then one of the nurses came over, and she was like, "Right, I'll play." She was hitting it to me, and since the ball was coming at me, and I mean, I used to be a professional athlete, so I went from this extreme level to absolute zero, what probably made it worse. So then I was playing with my left hand, and you know, I was reasonably decent, and I suddenly started playing. I was enjoying it, and I was like, well, you know what it is? I have this array of skills over the years of working hard and having the support, and I thought, well, why can't I do this? And it was kind of an awakening to me, right? You know what it is? I've had this kind of moment where you curl up in a ball, you protect yourself, you don't want to speak to anyone, and I think that's great for everyone, because everyone needs that. I really believe in people need that time to just, you know, crawl up, and if anyone knows what I'm talking about, they'll understand. Because you know, you've got to say, go to the gym and eat well, and all you do is lie on the sofa and eat crap. It happens to everyone. You're doing the exact opposite of what you've got to do. So then I started really thinking, right, well, this is what I've got to, you know, work on this bit in rehab. I've got to work on this. I've got to get myself discharged. I've got to get home visits. And 3 or 4 months later, I got discharged in a wheelchair. But then, you know, I knew if I got out the hospital environment where you weren't allowed to do anything, you could, you know, even if you were home, even if you were falling down, you were improving 10 times faster. And this is what I say to people, is you've just got to figure a way out. And sometimes you just need a hand from someone, you know, a little arm around your shoulder, or just to say, here, look, this is the way out, this is how you do it, this is the way you do it. And it was a really difficult time, because all I wanted to do at night is go to sleep, and you didn't really want to wake up because you had nothing to do. And if anyone's been kind of down and depressed and really struggled with it, they'll know what I mean. But I'm telling you, there is a way out, and you've got to find the right way, and you've got to not get overwhelmed by it. Because if I said, right, I want to be walking in 6 months and I can't even move my legs, it's like, whoa, overwhelm, that's never going to happen. But what I did is take one step at a time. I'm going to improve on this today. Day by day I improved. I kept my morale up by the daily, you know, getting better and better. And suddenly, you know, time flies, and suddenly you're at your goal, you're out of hospital, you suddenly on crutches, you're walking. So it's hard for me to share, because as I say, I was really, you know, low and down, and I didn't want to speak to anyone. You know, we used to get, when you have spinal cord injury, you get really bad spasms in your legs. You get diagnosed diazepam and Valium, and what I do is I keep the breakfast and the lunch pill and just take it at night, so I could just completely relax. It was a difficult time, but there is a way out, and sometimes you just need that hand to help you. pull yourself out of that. And the worst part of being down and low is, you know, telling everyone every day you're strong and you're all right, and inside, you know, you're broken. Because, you know, I was completely broken. I didn't know what had happened, why it happened, and I didn't know what I was going to do. So, as I say, if this video has helped you, or you think it might help anyone, please share it with someone that it may help. Because the simple thing is there is help and there is a way out of your problem. You've just got to find the right problem for you, know, the right help for you. Because sometimes going to extremes not. Sometimes tiny little changes daily makes a huge difference. So as I say, please share if you think it might help anyone. And if it's helped you, yeah, just get in contact with me. And I'd love to hear your story and what you're struggling with, and if I can help you. And that's all from me today.